track thoroughbred, and he does not understand the default lesson, and he's had one lesson with targeting. So he's pretty new at stuff. I have incorporated some positive reinforcement and just in general in his training before I really knew like the basic behaviors and kind of where to start. So he is very new to this, like being at liberty. He's usually always on a line. So this is his first time being at liberty with me out here doing clicker training. And so we're gonna kind of see how that goes. He's usually on a line. If he wants to kind of go and finds other things more reinforcing, I might put him on a line. But I want to do default, and I want to do some target training. So he's starting at the beginning with this at liberty. So what I'm looking for is him to stand parallel to me. I'm going to be between his shoulder and his nose, and he's going to stand straight and relax. So that's all I'm looking for. I'm going to give him a moment to chew a little bit in between, but I'm going to continually click and reinforce so that he understands that this is what I want. And then I'll start building in duration or the time that he can do the behavior, and that'll be, I'll start waiting for him to stop chewing after multiple times of him understanding like stand and relax is what I want. And once he understands that, then I'm going to start adding that duration. So he'll stand still, not chewing for a second. I'll click and feed. I'll do that 3 times so I know that he understands. And then I'll move up to 2 seconds, 3 seconds, and continue until I have like 30 seconds or however many you want. So that's where we're at with him. I have done some clicker training with him in the past, and it's mostly been forward behaviors, which I shouldn't have done because he's a very forward horse. But we worked on cantering, was really big for him because he would get on a lunge line and just run. And I had to really shape that into being relaxed and walking and trying cantering on cue. So that's where we're at with him. He does that well under saddle and on the lunge line. And I've done just some other behaviors with him with clicker training, but I really need to go from the beginning and work through stuff because he still wants to be pretty impulsive and forward. He has a lot of anxiety, so I really need to work on balancing him to more relaxed standing behaviors. That's what I really want to work on. So he's doing excellent, actually. So my first step would be kind of set him up for the behavior. So he's out here, I'm starting in the protective contact. For him, necessarily, he doesn't really need that, but I feel like it's clearer. Like, I don't unintentionally get in his space. He doesn't get in mine because of the barrier, so it's a little bit easier place to start from. So that's important. So I'm setting him up for success. So if I just went out there, even though he probably won't do it, I want him to be successful. So if I went next to him and just kind of crowded me, then I'm kind of having to do other things, and I might have to end up trying to teach the backup, or I might end up scaring him because I'm putting pressure on him, or I might end up being run over and inadvertently feeding somewhere I don't want to feed. So this is just setting up the scenario so that we're both successful. That's where we're at with this. So I'm going to start it on his right side here. It doesn't necessarily matter which side you start on. And then I've been reinforcing this while he's chewing for multiple times, and I think he understands it. So now he's stopped chewing for about a second. I'm going to click and start to build a little bit of duration on this side. So I don't want to go too far in the duration without doing both sides. So I'm just going to see if he'll, this is actually very nice, if he'll go ahead and turn around and do the same behavior on his left side. So I'm just going to go ahead and wait for one more here. So he stopped chewing, it was about 1 second, and then I went ahead and clicked, and then I'll feed. So he's got a little bit of duration already. So he's already understanding it pretty well. I think he's getting a little full already too. I probably should give a little bit less food. So I'm just going to turn him around. Come here, Rhett. He doesn't know how to target. He does know how to follow though. So I'm going to see if he'll come over here. Yeah, that was perfect. So right now he's eating an alfalfa Timothy pellet. That works pretty good for him. I can adjust the handfuls really well. He's really nice about eating. He's really careful about it. so he doesn't grab or do anything like that. He's really good at that. So I like the pellet for most horses because I can adjust the amount. Like unlike Castor, he gets the cubes, but I like to stick with the grass. Pellets or cubes is the easiest. They can eat a lot of it. It works pretty good. I would just make sure that you can get them a water source or take them to water so they don't, so like their mouth doesn't get super dry, and you don't want to feed a lot because they could choke too. But you can do other things. You can do horse treats, which are really high value, so I wouldn't use a lot of those, or you can use apples or carrots, which again are high value, or grain. So I would mix it up too. So if he's like doing, maybe I want to do like a halt to canter transition for him, that would be really hard, I would use grain in that circumstance. So just kind of depends, and I'll kind of go more into that in its own video. But I want to make sure that I've already known my cue word or sound, and then I'm going to use that before I feed. So, and then I go ahead and feed. So you don't want your hand movement to come before that, because then this is going to be your cue. So he looks like he understands. So I'm going to start building some duration on this side. So, there we go. So he stopped chewing, counted about a second, and then I'll click it. And he seems to be getting this quite well, actually. And I'm going to be paying a little bit more attention to him than the camera, so good. Especially horses like him, they need this. All horses need this because this is a good default behavior to have. But especially him, because he wants to be forward and anxious. I thought he was down there, but that's okay. If you make a mistake, it's not a big deal. Just try to not make it in the future, because they are paying attention to what they're getting clicked for. There we go. But he wants to be kind of nervous, looky, not necessarily spooky, but he likes to look and his attention will leave. But he wants to move forward. That's kind of his default. He was a racehorse. That's kind of the anxiety comes out in coming forward versus shutting down. So good. So he's done that about 3-4 times. So I'm going to go ahead and see if he can do 2 seconds. I'm just going to wait for him to stop chewing. So I just waited till he stopped chewing, counted to 2, and then I'll click and feed. Pause in there sometimes. He's just listening, so I'll just kind of wait a second and see if he'll really be done. So 1, 2, and you don't have to count out loud. I'm just doing that so you know how long I'm counting. And I don't want to necessarily reward that behavior, so if he were standing straight but he was out looking and alert, I just kind of give him a moment till he comes back, and then I would click and reward that. 1, 2. It's okay if he's still not done chewing. I'm just giving him like a few little pellets. Good, that was awesome. So I think he's about ready to go to 3 seconds of duration, but I'll kind of work on that and then show you the results later on, because it's just counting from now on, so you kind of get the idea of it. But I'm going to whip out the target and work with him with that before he's done.